Hello everyone. Let's have a quick recap what we have learned in the last video. In the last video, we learned about regions and availability zones. What is region? Region means it is a place where AWS has its infrastructure. Then what is availability zone? Availability zone means isolated location within each region. Two AWS regions cannot communicate with each other by default, but if required, yes. Server or instances are placed inside the availability zone because availability zones are interconnected with each other and they can communicate with each other. Now let's move with next video. Today's topic is VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. We will see why there is a use of VPC and exactly what is VPC. VPC is the most important topic from the interview point of view and certification point of view. There are multiple questions can be asked on VPC. So we should never ignore this topic in AWS. So let's try to understand what is the exact use of VPC in AWS. Okay. Now let's assume that there are four friends, Ganesh, Kiran, Ram and Shyam. Okay. Now they want to launch EC2 instances in AWS. Okay. Now tell me, AWS is a public cloud, private cloud, or hybrid cloud? Definitely public cloud. What is public cloud? The provider service which is accessible by everyone. Now four of these friends want to launch EC2 instances for their business in AWS public cloud. Now let's try to understand. This is our AWS public cloud. This is one EC2 instance. This is another EC2 instance. Okay, these are four EC2 instances. There are four friends. Let's assume Ganesh, Kiran, Ram. Okay. These four friends want to launch EC2 instances for their business in AWS public cloud. This is our AWS public cloud. Now tell me, Ganesh has one EC2 instance, two EC2 instances, Kiran has two EC2 instances, Ram has two EC2 instances, and Sam has two EC2 instances. These are our EC2 instances. Okay, they have launched EC2 instances for their own specific business in AWS public cloud. Okay, now this tell me that these EC2 instances are safe or they can communicate with each other or not. The answer is yes, they can communicate with each other because these are launched in public cloud. But will they like to communicate with each other or do they like to share their data with each other as a business perspective? The answer is no. So they want their EC2 instances to be privately. Okay, in AWS public cloud, we are going to create one private cloud. Okay, now what they are doing, they have launched one private cloud virtually on this in this AWS public cloud. In AWS public cloud, they launch private cloud which is virtually for each EC2 instances. For each EC2 instances, they launch private cloud which is virtually, and this concept is called as virtual private cloud. In AWS public cloud, each of them has launched EC2 instances which was publicly. There was chances of hacking and everything, so they want to keep their EC2 instances safe. So what they did, they launched a private cloud which is virtually, and this concept is called as virtual private cloud. Now these VPCs cannot communicate with each other by default, but if required, yes. Tell me what is VPC? Two VPCs cannot communicate with each other by default. With each other by default, but if required, yes. Two VPCs cannot communicate with each other by default, but if required, yes. Okay. Now, The question is, creating VPCs for every customer is impossible, or we can say it is a difficult task. So AWS provides us the default VPCs. We can use this default VPC. Like whenever we launch any EC2 instances, AWS will provide us the default VPC. Just we have to choose VPCs under network. So it will get defaulted VPC for our EC2 instances. Yes, definitely. When the practical will start, we will see this VPC, how to create VPC, and all the whatever their concept in VPC we are going to see. Okay, but now just we know that AWS provide us by default VPCs. Two VPCs cannot communicate with each other by default, but if require, yes. Okay. Now the most important question is from the interview point of view and certification point of view. We can create up to 5 VPCs. We can create up to 5 VPCs in one AWS region. We can create up to 5 VPCs in one AWS region. Now we saw that what is the use of VPC. Like whenever we launch any EC2 instances or any servers, we are going to get one private cloud, which is virtual private cloud. We are going to create private cloud which is virtually. So this concept is called as virtual private cloud. Then what is definition of VPC? It is logical isolated section in AWS where we can launch resources. What are those resources? Resources can be EC2 or any servers or any EBS, whatever there are the resources. Okay. It is a logical isolated section in AWS where we launch resources in virtual network. What is the definition of VPC? It is logical isolated section in AWS where we can launch resources in virtual network. Now let's try to understand what is the layers of this. What are the layers in AWS? So we get more safety, there are no chances of hacking. So we will try to understand layers in AWS. Okay, there are multiple layers. We will try to understand one by one. Okay, so first layer is AWS layer. First layer is AWS layer. Then second layer is region, our region. Okay, so this is our AWS. Inside the AWS, there will be one specific region that can be Mumbai, Singapore, anything. Okay, first region layer is AWS. Then second layer is region. Inside that, there will be our VPC. Okay, inside our region, there will be VPC. Okay, inside VPC, there will be our ability zones. Okay, inside ability zones, we will have our EC2 instances. This is our EC2 instances. So if interviewer asks us what are the layers in AWS, so we are good to go with AWS. Inside that region, inside that VPC, inside VPC there will be ability zones. Inside ability zones there will be our servers or instances. There are two more layers in AWS, that is one is security groups and one is NACL, network access control list. This we will see in further topics. When we will cover security groups and NACL, we will add those two layers in this AWS. So now for just understand these multiple layers. Okay, and we will understand more about VPCs, but just we have seen that overview of VPC in this video.